So James Quincey, World Without Waste, great goal. You have a big new packaging announcement. Why is it important to Coca-Cola, not just as a corporate citizen, but as a business?
It's important to us for a very core part of our values. We've always believed that to have a healthy business, you need to be operating in a healthy community. And one of today's biggest problems is packaging waste. We've done a lot on making things recyclable. We've actually invested a lot of R&D in making progress on reusing it. What we need to do is collect it. So this announcement is about the big missing piece in generating a world without waste, which is collecting back the plastic and creating a market economy for that collected plastic. And I think that's going to do great things to help us grow into the future without creating waste, which is good for us and it's great for communities.
How are you going to attract all that plastic? By 2030, you want to be getting a bottle back for everyone you put out there. That's a lot of bottles for Coca-Cola. How are you going to attract all that plastic?
Well, to give you an idea of the dimension, we need to bring back, every person in the world, if they bring back 2 bottles a month, we bring back all our bottles. That's our objective. 2 bottles a month for every person. We collect every bottle we put out. How are we going to do it? Well, there'll be different systems in different countries. Every country needs a solution, but it won't be the same everywhere. There are kind of places where it's reasonably advanced in Europe, to more informal economies where the collection happens. So there's going to be different solutions everywhere. We're going to have to work with NGOs, other industrial companies and governments to put in place these solutions. But it's absolutely doable. And I think that's what's exciting about setting the objective.
We're very conscious of this in the United States, but what about in other places, like China, for example? How big an issue is this in China? What are the hopes to really have this kind of recycling going on in China?
Yeah, look, I think the emerging and the developed countries are where more of the problem is than the US or Europe, which is probably at the leading edge. So we need to do more there. But recognize that in a lot of these countries, there is some informal collection system already going on across a wide range of waste. What we need to create is the circular economy. We need to create value for that. So often in the case, and we did this in Mexico, for example, you go back a little more than 10 years, it was less than 10% of the plastic was recycled. Now it's 60%. How? The informal economy was collecting the waste, but there was no market for it. No one wanted to buy it. So we went into the marketplace and bought the plastic, invested in factories to recycle that and reuse it in our bottles. So I think there's a model there for the Chinas and other parts of the world on how to create value out of plastic and get it reused.
So you'll be actually creating a market in the sense of paying for some of the plastic to come back. It's a little bit when I was a young man when you have a 5-cent deposit on the Coke bottle, right? And you'd get it when you took it back to the supermarket. So you're going to be paying for that. What's the effect on your bottom line going to be? Is it going to be a net negative or net positive once you get this up and running?
I think the way to think about it is in the long run, it's going to be a wash. Think of it like this. Let me give you an analogy. In the old days, and I grew up near a car factory in the UK, the automotive industry used to think of quality as a cost center. You made the car and then you had an extra cost called quality. And then people came along and said, no, quality can reduce cost and be a benefit for the consumer. So think about plastic waste like that. In the initial stages, it might cost us some money, and it has as we've rolled out schemes around the world, as we've invested in research and innovation and in factories to reuse the plastic. But in the long run, if we can make this effective and efficient, we can make the reused plastic competitive versus virgin oil, and then it'll actually be a wash economically for us and a better consumer proposition and better for the planet.